What's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now I'm going to talk about Civil War. Um, I was really excited about seeing this because of all the hype that it was getting online. I was also really nervous about seeing it. I am completely exhausted and tired of the political battles that we're having in our society, in our culture. If you're watching this in a different country, which I've seen my analytics, I know that some people in other countries do watch my videos. Just know that Americans can't get along on anything right now, and that has to get better. It's just not. I think social media has definitely played into that, but there's just so much division right now, and I was afraid that this movie was going to play politics. It was going to pick a side and alienate half its audience immediately. And I'm happy to say it didn't do that. Civil War was very apolitical, which is crazy to me because Hollywood is so political. They're so political that this isn't anything people don't know. They will blacklist actors and blacklist directors who don't have their political ideology of the majority. So Hollywood is so political that I just can't believe that a movie called Civil War was basically apolitical. Definitely pleasantly surprised about that. There were politics in the movie, but the movie wasn't picking a side. The movie follows these journalists who have these photojournalists who have journalistic integrity to not be picking a side. They are basically just reporting, which is the biggest fiction that we have in this movie because there's no such thing as a reporter today that is apolitical. It doesn't happen. They all have their political agendas that they're pushing because they have a platform and they feel like I have a responsibility with my platform to do what's right for me. And this movie presents these journalists how journalists should be, as apolitical, just reporting on the facts. And these reporters have the goal to get to Washington, D.C. to interview the president. Might be the last interview the president ever has because there's about to be a siege on D.C. and the president's probably going to be killed. So we have to get there. We have to interview him. This movie was not fun. And it wasn't intended to be fun. So don't get me wrong. There are some great action sequences in it, but these action sequences aren't like the Beekeeper action sequences where you're cheering, right? These are action sequences where you're terrified by what's happening because it's presented in such a this could potentially happen way while being apolitical, which again is nuts. But yeah, the action is terrifying. There's a scene with Jesse Plemons. Oh my gosh, just a terrifying, tension-filled scene. You saw a bit of it in the trailer, but that was my favorite scene of the movie. Like, this dude's a scene stealer. If I remember correctly, I think it's the only scene he's in. Yeah, it's the only scene he's in, but he's a scene stealer. I mean, when I think about this movie, I think about that scene. The siege on Washington was cool too. I'm going to think about that also. But, yeah, this was just very surprising in some ways. Now, there's some criticisms here to be had for sure. Because the movie doesn't take a side, you really don't understand what's going on in this war. We know that California and Texas have teamed together. There's factions where the United States used to be, but we don't really ever get a clear picture of why they're fighting or what they're fighting for. Because it's presented from the on-the-ground level of these journalists who have a singular goal, and that's to get to Washington, D.C. So there's a lot of backstory here in this film that hasn't been explored. Because of that, I really felt like this would have been presented better as a mini-series where maybe 8 episodes, 1 hour each, where they tell this story in this movie, and then they go back and they pick up the threads that have been left. Probably would have worked better that way, but I'm not going to be overly critical here because I did like this movie. I just felt there's a lot of blanks. There's a lot of blanks. There's a lot of gaps that need to be filled in. And because of that, I felt like we were getting half of the story. Now, that's probably not true because it was meant to focus on these journalists who have one singular goal. But we also, as an audience, we don't know any more than the journalists know. In fact, we guaranteed to know less than the characters know. I said audience. Us as the audience, we know less than the characters know, and that's a problem. We should at least know what the characters know. It can become problematic when we start to know more than they know. Because then twists and turns and surprises, they're not twists and turns and surprises because we know more than the characters know. So it can become problematic when we start to know a lot more than the characters know. But it's definitely problematic when we know significantly less than the characters know. And that's where I was in this movie. I knew less. I knew less than our characters, therefore I wasn't clear on motivations. I wasn't clear on the what, the why, and that was problematic. But I gotta tell you guys, overall, this was a not fun. This was a good, tension-filled movie on a possible what-if scenario that's probably never going to come into play, but it's still terrifying to think of. I enjoyed it, and I'll watch it again, but it wasn't perfect. In a thumbs up, thumbs down world, this movie gets a thumbs up for me. I can recommend you to go see it. Just understand that you're not going to get any of your political biases confirmed or denied in this movie. And you're not going to always know why things are happening. You're just going to know that they're happening, and that you're following these characters who are in the middle of all of this. Some good action, very tension-filled. Good movie, not great. So that's my take on Civil War. What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. While you're down there commenting, subscribe to my channel. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.